All right, welcome back, everyone. We're ready for another deep dive, and this one is going to be interesting, I think.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
It's all about, how our brains kind of play tricks on us. Ever heard of the gambler's fallacy?
Yeah, classic psychology.
Well, today we're going to try and understand it a little better. I mean, think
Yeah.
about this. It's 1913. You're in Monte Carlo, one of the most famous casinos in the world,
Right.
and you're watching this roulette wheel just keep landing on black, like 5, 10, even 20 times in a row.
Can you imagine? Talk about tension in the room.
I know, right? People start piling money on red thinking, it's got to be due. But then black comes up again. And again, a total of 26 times in a row.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the gambler's fallacy in action.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. And we're going to be using this awesome YouTube video by Hannah Fry to help us break it all down.
Cool, yeah. Her videos are always super clear.
Okay, so first things first. What exactly is the gambler's fallacy? Like, how would you define it?
Well, it's basically this mistaken belief, right? This idea that past events can somehow influence future ones when it comes to things that are totally random.
So like flipping a coin.
Exactly. If you flip a coin 10 times and it lands on heads each time, the gambler's fallacy would lead you to believe that tails is more likely on the next flip. But each flip is independent, like a fresh start.
Ah, I see. But it's so tempting, though, to think that after a long streak of one outcome, the other one is due, you know?
Right. I totally get that. Feels intuitive. But that's our brains playing tricks on us. You see, our brains are wired to find patterns to make sense of the world around us.
So it's actually a helpful thing in many situations, right?
Absolutely. Recognizing patterns helps us predict things, make decisions, even survive. Like knowing that dark clouds usually mean rain or that a certain animal's behavior might signal danger. These patterns are essential.
But in the case of something random like a roulette wheel or a coin toss,
Yeah.
it's like our brains are trying to find a pattern that isn't really there, right?
Exactly. We almost refuse to believe in the pure randomness. We want there to be a reason, a narrative for why things happen the way they do.
And that's where the fallacy comes in.
Yeah. We start thinking, okay, black has come up a bunch of times, so red must be due. But each spin of that roulette wheel is totally independent of the last. It's like starting from scratch.
And that brings us to the example Hannah Fry uses in her video.
Oh, you mean the family with like 14 sons?
Yeah, 14. Can you even imagine that?
I mean, the pressure for a daughter after that. It's a really good example, though, of how the gambler's fallacy goes way beyond just gambling. It can influence our thinking in all sorts of ways.
So in that case, people might think, oh, they've had so many boys, the next one has got to be a girl.
Exactly. But the odds of having a boy or a girl are pretty much 50-50 with each birth, no matter how many boys or girls came before. Each pregnancy, it's like resetting the odds. It's a brand new chance.
That example with the sons just totally blew my mind. Makes you think, doesn't it? Makes you wonder, like, has I ever fallen for this fallacy without even realizing it? Have you?
Oh, definitely. I think we all have at some point. It's so easy to get caught up in those patterns. It's like, oh, I've lost a few times in a row, so surely I'm due for a win, right? Whether it's the lottery, slot machines, even those claw games at the arcade.
Oh my gosh, the claw games, yes. I always think I'm due for that plushie.
Haha, exactly. We see a pattern, and our brains convince us that it means something, that it predicts the future. But with random events, that's just not the case.
So how do we break free from this way of thinking? How do we avoid this trap?
I think the first step is just awareness. The more we understand how the gambler's fallacy works, the easier it becomes to spot those moments when our brains are trying to trick us.
So it's about taking a step back and questioning our assumptions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Instead of going with that gut feeling, that sense of being due, we need to pause and ask ourselves, is this a real pattern? Or is my brain just trying to impose order on something that's actually random?
So it's not just about being a smarter gambler, it's about being a smarter decision maker overall.
Absolutely. The gambler's fallacy can sneak into all areas of our lives. Investing, risk assessment, even personal relationships. Recognizing it helps us make more rational choices.
So true. I mean, this whole conversation has really been eye-opening. So to wrap things up, the gambler's fallacy is basically this powerful cognitive bias that can really lead us astray in all sorts of situations. But if we're aware of it, we can make better choices.
Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway here is to remember, randomness is random. The past doesn't determine the future, no matter how much our brains try to convince us otherwise. So next time you're tempted to think you're due for a win, take a moment to remember the gambler's fallacy and maybe think twice.
Great advice. Well, that's it for today's deep dive. Hope you all learned something new, and until next time, remember to keep those brains of yours in check.
Haha, exactly. Stay sharp, everyone.
See you next time.